What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Singing the Tea. You already know I'm your host, Dustin Singer Actor Lewis. Sometimes I sing, sometimes I give you all the reality TV tea, but it's definitely what you want, and it's absolutely what you need. And baby, let's go ahead and dive into part 2 of the Married to Medicine reunion. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share the family membership with a friend so we can grow our community over here, baby. And if you're at work, share with the person next to you at the cubicle, girl. We want all the people to come over here and take part in Singing the Tea. Now let's dive right on in to this Married to Medicine. When I tell you this is such a great way to end a season, child. So we pick right back up, right? We pick up with Dr. Simone and DrJackie having a conversation. And, you know, DrJackie moving over there to the couch so it could just be them two having a conversation. I like when she did that because it was so much chatter going on the other, like, it was just a bunch of just static. It was too much static, and it was DrHeavenly and it was Toya. They doing way too doggone much. Like, they was getting on my nerves. But DrJackie and Dr. Simone have a breakthrough, right? So everybody's been wondering, like, what is it? Like, Simone, what is it that you want for DrJackie to do? And, you know, DrJackie is asking her that. And Simone was like, I need you to take a stance, and I need you to say, from what you just saw on this footage, did I put my hands on her? Did I push her? Did I do that stuff? And I love the fact that DrJackie is like, that didn't happen. It did not happen. You did not push her. It was none of the sort. It wasn't that. And again, I said this in part 1. Check out part 1 if you haven't seen it. The review. Check out the reunion looks short too. Check that out. But basically, I think Jackie just went into it in a place of like, okay, let me just say this because it kind of just absolves me of everything. But I feel like she needed to say something in this moment, and of course she did it. She stated it. Simone ain't pushed DrHeavenly. DrHeavenly did too much, and they're able to move forward. So we're glad that we got that breakthrough for them. They love each other. They've been through worse. They have been through worse, them two. So I'm glad that they were able to move forward. And Dr. Simone said she's going to follow DrJackie back on IG. So we love to see that. Now, when it comes to the DrHeavenly of it all, you know, Andy is asking all the ladies, did you feel like Dr. Simone pushed DrHeavenly? And everybody's like, no. Like, no. Everybody, it was a resounding no on the stage. And DrContessa was like, you know what? You have this blaring thing when it comes to, and that's a black Karen. She talks to DrHeavenly. You have this blaring complex where basically you want to do stuff. You want to poke the dragon. And then when people give you the reaction, you want to sit up here. You want to backpedal. You want to call on security because you can't take the heat. And Dr. Simone said, not Dr. Simone, Heavenly over there talking about no, baby. I'll call security for you. Girl, I'm scared of you. I ain't scared of the rest of these ladies. She let it be known, baby. If Simone want to tussle, we can tussle. But here's the thing, and I'm with Andy. Wasn't you just scared? Wasn't you so unhinged you couldn't be in the same room with her? You didn't want to go on the trip because you were so scared? See, Heavenly, you can't have it both ways. Heavenly, the thing with you is you so quick with it that you're not thinking through what you're saying. And that's your problem. You do not think through what you're saying, and you don't care who it is that you offend. You don't care what the fallout is going to be. And that's the issue with you, DrHeavenly. I'm going to be real with you. There are some other ladies over there that do the same thing that you do. They just don't do it to the magnitude that you do. But a lot of them do the same thing. But the difference is it's the way you go about it, girl. Like, you just need to start taking a beat and understanding that it ain't that deep. Now, child, we go to the back. We head to the back of the men back there, you know, because they've been cutting up all part 1, baby. And they said we're going to carry on that tradition. Baby, they get back there, you know, Curtis, he gets to talking to Eugene about Toya and the whole putting the hands on women scenario. Eugene, I know you was ready for this thing to be over because the people kept just tagging you throughout the whole doggone show. Listen, it was an awkward situation because it was like Curtis was really hot behind this. And Curtis is saying that, you know, did I put my hands on your wife? Absolutely. And I think it's an awkward situation because Curtis did pull her down on his lap. Well, was it in a sexual manner? In my opinion, no. And I truly don't think he meant anything sexual. I think he was being playful. But was it inappropriate? Yes. So it was inappropriate. The issue that they're having with this scenario is that Toya keeps bringing it up, or she keeps putting weight to it. Like, we know what happened. We know what Curtis did. Y'all don't got to keep talking about it. But they don't really go anywhere with that. So we head back to, well, for now. But so we head back to the ladies, and you know, that's when Heavenly was talking about the whole thing. She ready to fight Simone. Girl, Heavenly, you the one that's unhinged, girl. Quiet as a kept. You are definitely unhinged. But when she had said, baby, what's your name? Talking to Andy. Baby, she had so much going on in her head, she didn't even know what Andy's name was. She said, what's your name, Earl? Baby, it was so funny. Like, Dr. Heavenly, well, I'm sorry. We need her for the show, because she is a hoot and a half. The lady she keeps the show moving. Dr. Heavenly is hilarious. Don't get me wrong, I want you to be successful. But girl, we don't need you in office. We need you on the Married to Medicine, so you can let that dream go. That need to be a dream that's deferred. You need to keep, baby, stay the course. You need to stay the course. If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and stay on Married to Medicine. The courthouse or whatever house, the Senate, Congress, the White House, whatever house you're trying to go into, it need to be the one that Mariah said you need to pressure wash. You don't need no other house. You stay right there where you at. That's where you need to stay. So, anywho, back to something that's serious. So they start talking about some DEI and you know how doctors and nurses are affected by that. And you know, I love this show so much, and conversations like this is another part why it's my favorite show on Bravo. It's because they were talking about PrEP, and they were saying, like, everybody, if you are sexually active, you need to be on PrEP. If you are out here, be on PrEP to protect yourself. It's not just for the gays. It's not just for the dolls. It's for everybody, baby. Get on the PrEP if you're out here sexually active, because you need to protect yourself. You are your first line of defense. Protect yourself, child. But I love this show. Everybody's phenomenal. So, you know, we in that segment when it comes to the ladies. Then they bring the men on the stage, baby. They bring the men. Everybody looked nice for the most part. Steve decided to go with a different color. Now, Steve, I didn't like that outfit. It was a little too much razzle-dazzle to it. It was a little arts and craftsy, but you look good. That's a good-looking man. Okay. Are we just gonna... I'm gonna talk about it now. Brandy's man was clearly there at some point. Was he running late? What's going on? Like, because when they make it back behind stage, like after this segment, we see him back there, but he didn't come on stage for like anything. So it was really, really weird. But I'm gonna be honest, he wasn't a big part of the show anyway, so it didn't shake or move it. And him being there, not being there, it wouldn't have mattered. But it just was interesting because we could see him in the background. Anywho, so the men come on stage, and child, they jump right into the what do they call it? Lap gate. That's what they had called it. I like when he said that. I had to make sure I got that. And I agree with Contessa. This whole situation is super cringy. It is just a cringy situation. I gotta say this. Toya, I wish you would have just ignored that question. I wish you just would have handled it with a little bit more care. On the side of Jackie. And I don't understand why you were like, well, Jackie, it's your fault because you said that he didn't pull me in my lap. Toya, first of all, this situation is so old. Like, why? I don't get why Toya is trying to die on this hill. Like, and he was like, well, I didn't say that he was doing this. I mean, yeah, there are 3 women. He pulled me, he touched Heavenly, and he touched the other lady outside. I don't think she's handling that situation with care, because that's a sensitive subject for somebody's husband to step out on them. And she did the work for them to stay. But, like, you keep taking her back there, and Toya, you just not thinking through what you're saying. And these are some of those moments, like, when it comes to Toya, like, a lot of people give Heavenly heat. Toya do the same thing. Toya out here, Toya Bush Harris be doing the same thing as Heavenly. She just do it in a different way. Toya and Eugene are a younger version of Damon and Heavenly. I'm just saying, they truly, truly are. Like, they be out here doing the same thing. I ain't saying she wrong all the time, because I can agree with some of Toya's stuff. But they do be doing a lot of similar stuff. But, you know, the situation between Eugene and Curtis is awkward. And I honestly don't know what they're really arguing about. Curtis, it happened. Eugene, he's annoyed because your wife keeps bringing it up. I think he wants you to apologize. But you like, what do I need to apologize for? And I get what he's saying. It happened. Your wife just needs to stop talking about it. And I think that's what he's wanting you to do. And I don't know. I don't know. Eugene. Anywho. All right, so we're going to move on to the thing, because to me, at that point, it's pointless when it comes to them two and this. They need to move on. But Eugene, they definitely giving you the business this season. It's too funny. So they are asking Damon about the massage, and Damon had said, I didn't remember getting the massage. When I tell you, that was so funny. Like, Damon, girl, they got helicopters and stuff out here. Girl, they would take this off for the people think that I'm supposed to be, girl, I'm just here recording the video. I'm not supposed to be helping the people fight for our right to party. Anywho, so Damon was like, baby, I forgot about getting a massage. And he was like, I just get massages every week. I just thought it was one of them times. Well, he said, them not the massages that I get, When I tell you, he is a comedic relief that we needed, because we definitely need to break up that scene. So, because it was hilarious. So they're asking Eugene about the argument that him and Toya had at the house, right? And, he said it was a married moment that they just happened to catch on camera. Baby, what he had said, it was something that happened on camera, but, there was some people there that we wouldn't have invited if it wasn't for this show. Now, Eugene really is passive aggressive, and it is so annoying. When people are passive aggressive, it's annoying because it's just like when you call them on, they're like, what? I didn't do anything. But you know what you're doing. So, Steve chimes in and he lets it be known, like, no, you're not finna sit up here and skirt around this. I think that's what Steve's issue is with Eugene. Like, now that I'm talking through it, his issue with Eugene is that Eugene is just passive aggressive and he doesn't own when people mess up, or he messes up or Toya messes up. That's really what it is. But he chimes in and was like, Heavenly and Dr. Mimi were targeted, because it did seem like she was more focused on them too. And I think that Toya was just frustrated in the situation. Her and Eugene was into it. The ladies were looking like, girl, what you got going on? We ain't seen nothing like this. As far as Mimi, and I think that Toya's anger was misplaced. She was frustrated with Eugene, and she just kind of took it out on the ladies. We've seen Toya like this before. She lashes out because Toya just wants acceptance. Toya just wants people to be like, girl, you did that. That's all Toya wants. And Toya, you need to go to counseling to figure out what that is, because you got to find that within yourself. That's why you be lashing out and cutting up the way that you do, because you want everything to be perfect, and it's not going to be like that. It's the same situation with you moving into all these houses. You want life to be perfect and a fairy tale, and it's not, my love. And it's okay. It is okay. You just got to repurpose all of that. Now, when Steve had called Eugene Bush, checkmate, baby. He did that. Reading the house down. He was reading the house. He was reading. And Cecil over there talking about something. Come on, man. That was low. That was rude. You didn't have to do that. Yes, he did. Because we needed something to go on. We need the men to start cutting up. Because Cecil, you be cutting up online. Steve said, I'm cutting up on it. Steve said, you want to see it go down the slide? I'm going to show you how somebody go down the slide. Steve said, I ain't taking my foot up off of Eugene's neck, baby. And, Eugene was frustrated because he was like, you know what? You're new here. And, the men, men, we don't normally, we get into it, but we be respectful. Child, bump all that. The moment your wife kept coming for mine, see, Steve said, let me tell you something about mine. My wife, she chilling, she quiet. I'm not. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get your wife through you. That's what he said. I can't say nothing to your wife, but I'm gonna say something to you. So I'm gonna just get you every time. That's what's going on, Eugene. So Eugene, just like you wanted Damon to say something to Heavenly, you better start saying something to Toya, because Toya be over there getting it started. And Eugene, I hate to say it, them hens is coming to roost, or however the people saying, because you sat up here, you want Damon to hold Heavenly accountable. Eugene, it's the same thing with Toya. People want to hold Toya accountable too. That's what it is, bro. And unfortunately, you just getting a lot of heat. And I feel like Eugene wouldn't get as much heat if he would just back out of it and just zip it. Just zip Eugene. You would have an easier time going through this doggone thing. But yes, Steve wasn't playing with you, child. He definitely wasn't playing with you. And, when Cecil was saying, not Cecil, Curtis was like, it's coming from your household, Eugene. So, Eugene, try to get it together, brother. I hate that you had a lot going on, but it is what it is. So, we head over to Damon. Damon, he didn't say anything in Jamaica, right? Oh, I'm talking about Eugene. That was the note I have for Eugene. Eugene was mad at Damon because he didn't say anything to Jamaica, and essentially, it wasn't Damon's place to say anything, but people are wanting you to do that for your wife, and you're not willing to do that. So, you got to understand that perspective. All right. So speaking of Damon, so they were asking Damon about their son, right? And Damon lets it be known, he didn't tell Heavenly, and he felt like as a father he did the right thing in that moment. I can understand that, because I'm gonna say this: there is nothing wrong with if a child feels comfortable going to one parent and them keeping it there for as long as they possibly can, just to keep that integrity with you and your child. A kid needs a safe space. Even if you're grown, you need that landing space, and that's what his son needed at the time. He recognized that his son needed that, and he just was there to be there for him, just to make sure he's okay. And he lets it be known that he still hasn't talked to his son, but I hope that they're able to work through that, because it's really sad. Like, I definitely do hate that they're going through that. But I can understand why he didn't tell Heavenly, because there have been moments like with me, with my parents, like, I might have told one, but I didn't want the other to know. Or even like I've had situations with me feeling comfortable to tell one parent something. I just knew that they would tell the other, so I just didn't say anything. So somebody has to be the safe space for the kids. So just keep that in mind, y'all. All right. So, Damon, they talked to Damon about weaponizing the situation with his son, or people weaponizing issues that people have in their family. And Damon was like, that's definitely something that happens, but I love when Scott was like, look, man, I get where you're coming from, but your wife does that a lot. Like, she does that a lot. And Damon, he lets it be known, like, I hate, I can't speak for Heavenly. I hate that Heavenly does that. I do talk to her, but if my wife has done anything to offend y'all, I do apologize, because that's not what I want to do. He said, but that has nothing to do with me. I don't like when lies are made up about me. But Damon, we've been here before. And I think Damon is such a phenomenal person. I truly, truly do. And I think a lot of stuff that they be saying about him, I don't really think he out here doing it. But just like Simone said, you are a casualty of war. Unfortunately, my brother, because your wife, she brings up every little issue. She want to bring up anything about anybody's husband at any point in time. Unfortunately, you going to get some of the heat because of your wife. You are your wife's soft spot. You are her Achilles heel. You and her family, so they're going to always come forward. Anytime something like this happens to y'all, they're going to always come for her. It's like, especially, more so the ladies. Not the men won't necessarily do that to you, because they get where you coming from. But, yeah. And then, they talk about Damon owning it. Steve was really talking about something. See, that's how you do. You hold yourself accountable. Child, and then Eugene was like, oh, he had to say something. We ain't even finna go back down that rabbit hole as many times as them two don't got into it. They gonna be the thumbnails for this doggone video, because them jokers was into it this doggone episode, baby. They just couldn't stop going back and forth, baby. But I'm with Steve. A hit dog a holler, baby, because Eugene, you were ready to speak up. You were ready to let your voice be heard, baby. You was ready to lift every voice and sing. And that was good to me. And then Andy messy talking about something. Well, Steve, who was you talking about? Andy, you knew who that man was talking about. Yes, y'all, Andy was messy too. Everybody was messy. It was messy down to y'all bones, baby. Y'all was good and messy, and I was here for it. So they asked Damon if, when he talks to Heavenly, does he feel like it's working? And he was just like, I think there's some improvements. Poor Damon. Damon just over there fighting for his life, baby. That man just trying to have peace. And Heavenly just causing all this calamity in his life. That man wish he could just be at home, eating good fried chicken, drinking some cognac, and watching TV and making beats, baby. That's all that man want to do. But Heavenly won't let that man rest. Heavenly, please leave that man alone. All right. So, the men go backstage, and then, we bring in the ladies back out. Hold on, wait. I think I done skipped something. All right, yes. They bring, the men go backstage, and then they bring the ladies back out. Is that right? Hold on, y'all. Child, I don't know where I made my notes, but we're going to keep on going. I think Jamie did a good job. Eugene. Oh, they bring everybody back to the stage. That's what it was. My bad. All right, so they bring everybody back to the stage. And, they asked, what do the ladies do now that they didn't do with their girlfriends? And he started with Curtis, and they were like, that's the wrong person to start with. But he was just like, sex, baby. But you know what? I know DrJackie a freak. I know she be climbing that big old man girl, because he's a huge guy, and she's so little and so petite. I know they be, never mind, I ain't gonna do that with DrJackie, because she's a classic Christian type of woman, and I ain't gonna give her too much. And then they asked Cecil. Baby Cecil said, baby, I could just have a conversation with her. That's basically what he was saying. I could talk to her. I could give some suggestions around here. But baby, she got the ring and she said, I'm running this household now. I know that's right, Simone, baby. You better let them know. He said she was more mild-mannered back then. Now, baby, Simone cuts the rug, and I'm here for it. So they talked to Steve and Mimi about how they maintain their marriage dealing with a special needs child, because a lot of those marriages don't last, because it is extremely stressful. Those situations can be extremely stressful for everybody involved. And they just talk about making sure that they're meeting each other's love language, they're pouring into each other and doing check-ins to make sure that everything is good with them. And I think that that's great for them to do that. Now, they swing back over to Curtis. And they talk about Curtis and his comment that he made to King about Quad and King basically not doing things in decency and order. The thing I liked about this is that we didn't have to sit here long. It didn't have to be an argument. Quad accepted his apology back then, and she accepts it now, because I think that he really misspoke. And I think that once he heard his wife put it into perspective, I think he got where he came from. I think that sometimes people just have to understand there is more than one way to approach a situation, and Curtis, that wasn't the right way to do it. It just wasn't. So I appreciate you for apologizing, owning where you was wrong, and then y'all can move forward with that whole thing. So they talk about the Met Gala. We are at the Met Gala. And Andy, I will say I didn't like the way that you phrased the question to Steve when you were like, hey, what was the issue with having to pay to get in? That was paying to get in was never the issue. The issue was they weren't told that they had to pay to get in. They were told that they were guests of DrJackie. They were ready to go to their table, and that was it. They didn't realize that they had to pay additional. That was the issue. That's where it starts and stops. And I wish that Toya and Eugene would just come out of the clouds a little bit to understand that that's what it is. And then Heavenly and Toya just kept chiming in. I just wanted them to hush so that these men could get their thoughts out, because I get where Steve was coming from. We've donated. Now he was shading the people down. I get it. But at the core, the issue was he didn't know he had to pay. That was the issue. He's donated way more. Honestly, with that $5,000 donation they did, that was more than Toya and Eugene had did to date. I mean, besides now, of course. But, it just wasn't cool for them to do it the way that they did. And then, Simone chiming in, and she was like, well, they did the same thing. I paid my money and I bought 10 tickets. And when I made it to the door, they still asked me to pay, so I paid again. Simone, that don't even sound right. It doesn't sound right, because, so you're saying you donated, you bought 10 tickets, and then when you made it to the door, you still had to pay something? I don't believe that's right. And my thing is, show me the footage if that's true. I get that you and Toya, y'all chummy right now. So that's the one thing I would say about Simone that I cannot stand. It's every reunion, she has this one buddy that she wants to be buddy with. She's done it with Sweet Tea. And it's when she was against Quad. She's doing it right now with Toya. It's she has that one person that she has to be buddy with. But let me tell you who I appreciate. Doggone Contessa. Dr. Contessa was just listen. And Mimi and the whole presence thing, it ain't really giving all of that. I don't think that they that bothered by them, but I just think that Toya was picking. Toya was picking it at the end of the day. But when, Contessa, when she had said what she had said, and she was like, look, it was ran by the ladies. The Met Gala was ran by the ladies of Married to Medicine. But somehow it became the Toya and Eugene show. So Eugene, what you should have done, you should have went to the back, ate your biscuits, and you should have minded your business. You should have mixed and mingled with the crowd. You should have grabbed a plate of wings and made sure people had enough food to eat. That's what you should have done. But you making sure that it was a lady working the door, and you were like, oh, well, I wanted to be a man and go up there and work the door. Then hire security for the door. If that's the case, hire security for the door. You were doing it to be petty, and you were doing it to be messy. You should, like she said, you should not have been involved. If Toya needed help, Contessa, like she said, there's text messages. I would have helped you. Toya was not asking for help. And I think that Toya's thing was, I got to prove that I can do this. And Toya, that's okay. But you got to realize it was a lot of fallout behind that. I get that Jackie had did it a certain way. You know, the first year, Jackie just basically took it on. Second year, she took it on. But all of them were sitting there. Quad said it beautifully. We told you, girl, that it was not a Jackie ran event. It was for all of us. Jackie just was the head of it. All of us contribute to this event, especially the second year. But Toya, you just weren't trying to hear that. And you did some great things. You did some phenomenal things with the event. But once again, the way you went about it, you could have handled it a better way. And that's all I'm going to say. And, you know, Eugene, bump all that what you were trying to talk about. But I agree with Contessa. You should have stayed out of it. And if it's a Met Gala for the ladies, let it be for the ladies and they figure all of that out. None of the other husbands were involved in the way that you were. Like, Eugene does too much. And I get you saying that your wife said that she didn't have help. She did, bro. She did. So, child, we ain't going nowhere with that. They ain't going to change. We might as well move on to the next question. So, the men leave the stage. And, child, Steve said, you know what? I still got some dip on my chip. And I got some more. Eugene, come to my office. Baby, they had made it back there. He was like, Eugene, let me tell you something. It ain't nothing personal. Steve, it was. Because, Steve, the way you got up in there and you were getting on that man to buy something, you know, I get what it is. Your wife talking about she want to see me with my shirt off. She like the way I look. She talking about my appearance. I get you might be feeling the way, my brother. Steve, if I'd have been, I'd have been like, hey, calm down. Please move on. Please go away from this. Like, Steve, at that moment, you was doing too much. Your point was made. A lot of the audience is going to agree with what you're doing. And we like Eugene, too. Obviously, the men on the show are great. But, Steve, you were starting to do a little too much when you had went back there to the dressing room the second time. And I'm with the men back there, baby. Get this man some food because he is just hangry. This man is hangry. Eugene had to go to the next room and get him something to drink. Because Eugene ain't want to shift no furniture up in there. I understand Eugene. Eugene lost a little weight. Eugene, listen. Eugene would have got a couple of licks in there. But Steve, his fitness record would have kept him in the game a little bit longer if they would have got the moving furniture. So I'm glad Eugene decided to go over to the, I don't know if that was the bar, and get him a little sip or something because he needed that and to calm on down. Because, child, Steve had it going on. And then I look over, I was like, who is this guest speaker back here, baby? It's Brandon Man sitting there. Girl, it was just so much going on back there. The men stole the show. The men of Married to Medicine stole the show. I think they need a spinoff. Married to the Game or something, child. They need their own spinoff. The men need to start taking vacations and stuff on their own the way that they was over there cutting up. That was good. Steve and Mimi, please go ahead. Bring everybody back. Bring every soul back, baby, because I love the role that everybody played on this doggone season. So anyway, you know, we make it back to the main stage and it's just the ladies and nothing really to run home about here, you know, was the closing remarks. One thing that was funny to me, though, you know, Andy was like, you know, DrHeavenly, you know, you running for Congress or she running for the courthouse or something. And, you know, and he was like, you know, so if you win, you know, you won't be on the show. And DrContessa talking about so this is it, huh? When I think it was good to me, when she said, so this is it, and everybody started laughing because... And the thing that was so funny is she was serious because she was like, no, I want her to win. Like, she wants this. I want my friend to win. It was just like, dog, like it just, and you can tell like Heavenly wanted to say something, but she knew she couldn't because like, girl, don't you want to win? Like it was one of them shady moments that it was just like, we're trying to come back, trying to say something because it's going to make you look bad. Baby, Contessa was MVP. Doggone Contessa, she did that this doggone reunion. She really had me going, and she was very even keeled for the most part. I really enjoyed Contessa this reunion because that was hilarious. So you know, one I want to talk about too is Simone thanking Jackie, you know, for basically stepping up in their friendship, and I'm glad that they worked that out. They always tend to get back on a good accord, and that's what friendship is about. Like, sometimes you don't agree. You're going to have moments where you have dissension, but at the end of the day, as long as you can work through it and get back together, that's what's important. And then we see Quad get emotional, you know, just about the friend group and just her actually seeming happy to be here. So hopefully that continues with Quad because, you know, MsQuad, she got it. Like she said, even without a man. We love Quad. We love this cast. Everything about the show is phenomenal. And that's it, y'all. We have come to a close of Married to Medicine, y'all. That is a wrap on a phenomenal season. Let me know who you want to see back next season. I think all the ladies can come back, if you ask me. I enjoyed them all. Heavenly, don't get me wrong. If you want the office thing, I get it. But you need to be here. This is your calling, girl. Doing teeth, and this show is your calling. We'll need you in the office. We'll need you to do that. You got an office at your dental clinic, and that's the only office you need, okay? But y'all, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share the family members, share the friends so we can grow our community over here. But until next time, have a good one, everybody.